Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to kind of recap the way our channel's been working since we started. If you're new to watching our channel, this is a true story. So around a year ago, I planned on opening up a coffee shop. No experience at all with a coffee shop. And when I mean no experience, I didn't even drink coffee. I've only drank coffee now for 1 year and maybe I think a week, so a year and a week. Before that, I didn't drink coffee. And when I mean I didn't drink coffee, I've only had maybe 2 or 3 coffees in my life, and I'm 56, and I hated it. Now, granted, when I look back at how I had coffee and what kind of coffee I had, doesn't surprise me. Gas station coffee, drip, no cream or sugar, just bleh. However, I'm going to give you my story on how I started a coffee shop with absolutely no experience. If you're watching this, hopefully you do have a little experience with coffee. Hopefully you already drink coffee. So as we get into this story, just keep in mind this. When I decided to start a coffee shop, I was living in Thailand, which if you go back to our first video on this channel, I'm in Thailand. I think for the first 3 videos, I'm in Thailand contemplating getting ready to move to the country I'm in, which is Albania, starting a coffee shop as soon as I get on the ground and start running with it, not speaking any Albanian. So I've got every bit of problems going against me from the get-go. So I'm going to kind of recap how this works, and hopefully you're not in the same situation. Maybe you're looking to start a coffee shop in your own city. Should be a lot easier than what I'm about to tell you. So the first thing is, I know nothing about coffee. So I started researching and found out that there's an organization called the SCA, the Specialty Coffee Association. And I see that they have barista training. So the first thing I did is I'm thinking, I better research it and see if they do offer that in the country that I am in, which is Thailand. Sure enough, they did have a class in English, which was a big plus. And I got to take the class. I got it from 2 Americans that happened to be in Thailand training a new barista class. Now, I got a little bit lucky. When I got to the class, everyone else had canceled their class, and I was the only student. So I had 2 instructors, and it was me, and I'm like, all right, guys, look here. I got to tell you before we get started, I don't even like coffee, and I'm going to open a coffee shop, but it isn't in this country, it's in Albania. And they're kind of looking at me. They looked at each other, and they're like, all right. So I knew I was in trouble because I knew they were going to throw everything they know at me, which is what I wanted, but I was a little nervous about being the only student. So I trained with them for like 3 days. I had both these guys on me, and I learned the barista basics. Then that's dialing in the coffee, serving them so many coffees within a certain time frame, explaining the tastes, explaining the way that the coffee feels in my mouth, the whole 9 yards. I did get to finally enjoy a good coffee. They made sure to make me some really, really, really good coffee. And I'm like, yeah, this is actually pretty good. From that day forward to now, I've been drinking coffee every day. So then, that's just the beginning. Big deal. I went to barista school. Now I am not qualified to open a coffee shop. So I had some time. That was November of last year, the end of November. So December would be, let's start from last December. It's December now, so let's go back a year. I moved to Albania in the end of May. So between that time, December and May, I started learning as much as I possibly could about coffee, watching YouTube videos, everything I could possibly watch. I also went to the coffee festivals in Thailand just to get around the coffee culture. I was looking at espresso machines, different gadgets, had no idea what they did. I've never heard of that before. Take a picture of it, research it. Don't know what that is. Take a picture, research it. What kind of espresso machine do I need? What kind of grinder do I need? What's the difference of it? Oh, there's this thing called roasting beans. Do I need to roast my own beans? Well, lo and behold, I met a Chinese guy living in Thailand who taught me how to roast coffee. But I realized real quick, there is no way going to a foreign country, can't speak the language, opening up a coffee shop, have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm going to try to outsource my own green coffee beans and learn how to roast. So, tabled that idea. but I did go to as many coffee shops as I could go to in Thailand, asking questions. And I really wanted to try as much coffee as I could because some coffee I really enjoyed. I watched them make it to see how they did it. Some used pull presses, some used espresso machines, you name it, pour overs, the whole 9 yards. So I decided, started figuring out, what do I like about this coffee? What do I not like about this coffee? Trying Robusta beans, trying Arabica beans, trying light roast, medium roast, basically going on a coffee rampage, trying as much coffee as I possibly can. Now, this is my wife and I both. And what we realized real quick is we started liking the same types of coffee. And we got to learn a little bit about, okay, this coffee is a light roast. It kind of tastes like this. This is a medium roast. This is a dark roast. Figured out real quick we like the dark roast. Then we started researching, what do they like in Albania? Who cares what we like in Thailand? What's going on in Albania? So we researched everything. What do Albanians like? What's the coffee culture like? We really need to go to Albania again, try all the coffee we can. Came over here to Albania, went to a bunch of coffee shops. We put together, we used ChatGPT for this one, put together a coffee shop checkbox list of all the things we should look for in a coffee shop, such as hours of operation, the cleanliness level, what kind of place was it? Is it specialty coffee? How do they make their coffee? What is the environment in there like? The whole 9 yards. ChatGPT did a great job breaking every little thing down. So when my wife and I would go to all these different places here in Albania, we would do the checklist. We would see what their menu was like. We would write down the menu. What are the things that we see people drinking around us? We're going to try the coffee ourselves. Do we like it? So we just went crazy with the research, taking pictures of the menus and deciding, well, what else are they selling on their menus to figure out what would sell here in Albania. So we did that for a while. Then we wanted to find out and research how to run a business, how to crunch the numbers. Luckily, I'm married to a woman who is big into data analytics. That's what she did for a living for a medical company. And she put that brain of hers to work. We started breaking down all of the things we could possibly need for a coffee shop. By the way, ChatGPT works great for that too. Hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me what all would I need to start a coffee shop in the country of Albania? So once we had that list together, and granted, it doesn't know everything, but it gets you a good starting point, then we could start researching as best we could to see how much everything is going to cost to start a coffee shop. But here is hint number one. Whatever you come down to after your research as a number to what it's going to cost, you really need to triple it. I hate to say that. Mistakes happen. We're going to get into all that stuff right now. So the first thing, when we do move over here to Albania, the first thing we wanted to do was locate a place. And I would say we did research what the going rates were for commercial property around here. But we had to get boots on the ground, look around and see what was available. We had to see where it was in other words, where the traffic goes by this particular place in the morning, in the middle of the day, at night. Is this place you want to be? Because there were some good prices on cute places, but they were on roads with very little foot traffic. So after some exhaustive research, we did find a place, and we had signed the lease on it within a couple of weeks of actually being here in Albania. Which, tip number two, try, if you're looking for a location, to find a place that doesn't need a lot of renovation, especially if you're going to be in a new country and you don't speak their language. Because I picked one. Feel free to follow the past videos on this whole thing, but I picked a location that really was gutted, or I had to gut it, rip out the floors, redo the walls, redo everything, even put in air conditioning, didn't have that. The whole thing, which ended up driving our renovation costs through the roof. So another tip, find something that's already renovated. Now, the other tip I would give you is when we were looking at equipment, I wanted to save money. I was looking at different espresso machines. And I found a guy who refurbished machines in this country. I'm like, cool. Instead of spending thousands, I'm just gonna get one of these refurbished machines. Matter of fact, I'll get 2 of them. So I got 2 of these refurbished machines, one for the primary 2 group and a backup one in case something happened, I would have a 1 group. Well, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that was a huge mistake. How is it a mistake? Well, the places here in Albania did a great job completely redoing these machines, but the problem was always in the electronics. The first one, the 2 group, wouldn't program, and nobody knew how to fix it, not even the service technicians, which really messed me up. That had to go. Lost all the money on that one. The next one was a 1 group, which we desperately wanted to make work. Then after about, a couple weeks after using it, we started getting error messages every day. And I knew it was just a matter of time that I would be hot and heavy trying to use this 1 group to run the business on, and it would just go out. So I finally went on shopping online outside of the country, found a place in Milan, Italy, that she shipped me a very affordable espresso machine, brand new, and I love it. It was the Lelite the Giulietta X. It's a 2 group machine. I think in euros, it was like 2,080 something euros. So in US dollars, somewhere around 2,400, 2,600, somewhere in there with the exchange ratio. And we got that and finally got a good working espresso machine. However, we did waste a lot of time and energy on machines that didn't work just by trying to save a buck. Now, to get everything else in this place, again, not speaking the language, we really had to fight tooth and nail just to find the stuff that we needed. Like, where do you find custom cut glass 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters? Now, if I was in the US or most places in Europe, I could just do a Google search. It doesn't work like that here in Albania. A lot of their businesses don't have anything online, and you're talking about glass cutters. Well, that is some guy in a little shop down the road who cuts glass. You just got to know where the guy's at. It's the same for almost everything we did in here, finding somebody to do wallpaper, having somebody do flooring. Well, he sold me the flooring. However, he didn't install the flooring, so I had to look for somebody and speak their language using ChatGPT for the whole language barrier problem to start that. And let me tell you, be flexible with your vision for the place, because again, if you follow all the videos until this point, you will see that my vision was way over here and ended up way over there. It all worked out, but the vision definitely changed. And we had to get an air conditioner put in this place. We didn't know what size place we should get. We ended up with a 35 square meter. I don't know what that is in square feet. So we did that, and it is a little small, but it's doable. We have 5 indoor tables and 2 outdoor tables with a little awning out front. So how is it all working out? Marketing here has we've been blessed with a lot of things that have actually worked. For one, having a YouTube channel has brought a lot of people into our coffee shop. We love meeting the people who watch our channel. So there's one stream of getting people in here to the coffee shop. Next, we do a assortment of videos on Instagram, which does work really well in this country. Also, there's an expat community that lives here in Albania, in the city we're in, and hooking up with those groups, we have met a whole lot of people who support our business, which is awesome. We also have our people walking back and forth, the Albanians every day, who walk back and forth. And at first they were a little timid to come in, but after a while, they're looking and they're like, okay, well, maybe we'll give it a try. Once some of them come in, they start talking, their friends come in. There's a university right above our head. And at first the young people weren't coming in. Then they started to come in. Then they told their friends. So those people started coming in. Then we had a news crew come in, and I thought it was just a local news crew for this city. Turns out we were on the national news. Two Americans moved to Albania and start a coffee shop with the theme of the independence, which is 1912, it's the year of their independence here in Albania, have a theme of their own country, meaning of Albania. We didn't come here with American flags everywhere. Ooh, we're American. Ooh, look at us. No, we decided to do a theme based on the city that we live in, because this city that we live in is where they declared their independence. So it all kind of went together, and the Albanians have been very receptive for some foreigner who cared enough to come to their country and represent their country. Now, when it came to our menu, they have a lot of terminology that we had to learn. For instance, so there's a drink, if any country you go to, called the macchiato, and there's also a cortado. But here in Albania, the cortado is called the macchiato. So I had to figure that one out. They also have another coffee drink here. They ask for, like, when I would ask for a cappuccino in one of the coffee shops around here, they would say café, bustin. Well, I learned real quick that there's two kinds of cappuccinos. You got your regular coffee cappuccino, and they got something they call bustin cappuccino. Bustin basically means it's a packet mix. So you pour this packet in, you put in milk, you spin it, and it's called a bustin cappuccino. So if you are planning on opening up a coffee shop in another country, you really need to figure out what they like. We also learned that here in Albania, they do like cold coffee drinks, but they like the ones that come from Greece, which is, from where I'm at, like 4-hour drive in a car. So it's very close. So we have things called like the Freddo cappuccino and the Freddo espresso, which we're not going to get into how to make all that stuff, but you really need to know your audience. And here, double shots, it's a thing in some of the coffee shops, but we do single shots on everything. It's just the way some things are done here, and there's not that much of a price margin. This is another thing you always got to look for, is if you're going to start a coffee shop somewhere, what can you charge for it? We're not in the United States. We can't charge 5, 6, 7, I don't know what it is now, $7, $8 for a coffee. Like our espresso is 90 lek. In the US, it's like $1.23 for an espresso. So if that is how much you're getting for an espresso, you better have very little in that coffee to have any profit margin whatsoever. So these are all the things that we had to think about before we opened it, and we did research. I mean, there's so many things we researched, it'd be impossible to go over everything, and we made mistakes like crazy. It's gonna happen. You're gonna have to give yourself some leniency on that. And remember what I said about your budget, where let's say you had a $15,000 budget, triple it just to be safe, and you should be in the ballpark for what it may cost. But in the end, we're 30 days, we've been open 30 days, well, let's just go by weeks. We've been open like 5.5 weeks, something like that. And I think things are going very well. Now, are we rich? Absolutely not. Are we in the hole? Yes, but that's okay. You know, most businesses aren't going to make a profit for a while, but I will say we did open this business up right after the busy season in the city, which is the summer. We waited till afterwards. One thing we wanted to avoid is opening up during a busy time of the year. Everyone's swarming in here. I'm new to being a barista. We're new to this whole thing. We didn't want to get slammed with bad reviews because my wife and I are stumbling over each other, getting people's orders wrong and screwing everything up. So we did no grand opening. We opened silently, and we had a few customers. Oh, look, they're actually open. We'll come in there. So we started slow for that the first couple of weeks before anyone really realized we were open. And what that allowed us to do is my wife and I got into a good routine after a while. We could figure out what worked, how to stay out of each other's way. And then when things did get busier, and we have been very busy at times, it worked out real well. I just look back and I can't believe that being a brand new barista that we made it through, And we're getting compliments on the drinks. Very happy about that. I try to stick to rigid guidelines from the SCA on dialing in coffee and everything else. I will say I was totally obsessed from that time last year until we moved here of figuring out everything. James Hoffman, many of you may be familiar with his videos and his book. I think it's called The World Almanac of Coffee. It's actually on Spotify. Listen to it on Spotify. I had the book, but once I found out it was on Spotify, I wanted to listen to that book. Very, very, very helpful. So if your dream is to open up a coffee shop someday, keep that dream. Definitely think about everything. Just because you make good coffee does not mean necessarily everything's going to work out great. You do need to be good at forward thinking. You do need to plan everything. You need to crunch the numbers. You need to know how much it's going to cost for all of your ingredients. You're going to also, how much can you charge for them? What about your to-go cup costs? You know, the things you're not thinking of, your sugar packets, your stirs. How about whenever you have to do the dishes, you got to pay for soap. I mean, the list just goes on. You got to make sure you're covering all those expenses. Can you live on almost nothing, let's say maybe for your first 6 months while the business is up and coming? How are you going to decorate it? Can you decorate it for a lot less? Are you going to get foot traffic? How are you going to be mostly to-go orders? The whole 9 yards. How much competition is there? I mean, it's just a lot to think about. So you really need to think about all aspects of owning a business. Water purification systems. Who's got the best deal? What do I need to look for? Got to tell you the story on the water purification system. I thought I had researched everything because if you got an espresso machine, you don't want to just let, for your customer's sake and your coffee's sake too, you don't want to just let tap water run straight to your machine. So I had a big, nice filtration system, reverse osmosis, and the whole gambit. For this country I'm in, it was like $1,200 US for this system. It's really nice. But guess what? They didn't tell me that it would be good to put a remineralization filter at the very end before it gets to the coffee machine for the minerals to help extract the coffee. Luckily, I had researched a little bit more and figured out, and it was also a comment from 2 people on our channel that said, hey, your new system's great, but what about you've stripped all the minerals out? What about your minerals? So again, thank you for that. All these little things you got to think about before you open up. So just keep all these things in mind. I hope that all the videos we've done, if you're somebody who's looking to start a coffee place, sees our mistakes, see what we went through. Hopefully it will be encouraging for you, or it talks you completely out of it. Whatever it is, if it's not a good idea for you. We want to thank you for watching. And if you feel so inclined, tip us on Ko-fi. We'd really appreciate it very much. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We're going to have all kind of coffee related videos. Everything from how the coffee shop's doing to the first person point of view of me during a big rush. And we're going to also have instructional videos on coffee to give back to the community. So please subscribe. We'd love to have you. That's all I have for you right now in this episode. I'm going to end this by saying thank you in Albanian, which is Faleminderit.